So later today, the Minister of Water and Sanitation, Senzo Mchunu, is expected to hold a briefing on the state of water in the country. Mchunu is expected to detail the state of groundwater in the country as an alternative water source, the quality of drinking water, as well as the regulation work of the department in dealing with water transgressors and issuing of water licenses. This briefing, which coincides with the marking of the UN's World Water Day, comes after last month's National Water Strategy document warning that the country could soon find itself unable to meet the water requirements of the population. So we've got Sputnik Ratau. He's joining us now. He's from the Department of Water and Sanitation. He's the spokesperson there. So nice to see you, Sputnik. Welcome.
Good to see you too, Leanne, and thank you so much for the opportunity.
Looks like you're at a birthday party with all those balloons around you, but I'm not sure at 7:30 in the morning on a Tuesday there's a birthday party happening, but it looks quite festive. But the feelings behind you, are the feelings in water the same way? I don't know about the festivities around there. We've been warned about, water scarcity and the country running out of water by 2025. Is this a major concern, something we should be very, very worried about?
It's definitely not festivities, Leanne. We can explain it on another day. But yes, we are having Minister a briefing this morning on the state of water, but particularly around the issues of the theme for World Water Day, which is groundwater, making the invisible visible. And particularly because we know that we're working towards ensuring that by 2030 and beyond, we still continue to have sufficient water for all livelihoods and lives. Basically because when we looked at projections going ahead, it was quite clear that if we don't do anything, we would be having a deficit of about 17% with our water supply in about the next couple of years by 2030. And therefore, the idea, in line with the NDP, is that we must be able to carry on beyond that. But also, what we have realized is that we are not using groundwater as in South Africa particularly to the extent that we could be able to utilize it for the benefit of the country. But it also then is in line with the theme of United Nations Water this year, which is groundwater, making the invisible visible.
Yeah, let's just dwell on the concerns of running out of water. Meeting that so-called zero. That's a big problem. I mean, in 2002, there was the worry that was going to be the case. And now great threats once again that day zero is just around the corner. South Africa is a water scarce country. It is something, it's not a secret. We all do know this, but there are a lot of challenges that face the water sector in South Africa, and we'll talk to those. But let's just talk about plans in place so that this does not lead to that situation. What is government planning?
Well, if we look at it on a macro level, where we are sitting as the department, and part of our responsibility is water planning. And that includes looking at scenarios that have actually informed the fact that if we are not going to do anything about it, by 2030, we would be running at a deficit. And therefore, we are always working at the issues of looking at what it is that we need to do. How are we going to be able to circumvent that possible deficit by 2030? But from the point of view of the department, it is that in the work that we do, in the planning that we do, in the formulation of policy, we are looking forward to saying we need to make sure that our developing country is not compromised by the lack of water. And that is why our colleagues at planning are working hard at looking at those alternatives. And groundwater is one of those. But we are looking at water reuse. We are looking at recycling. We know that SALGA, together with local government, is looking at also the issue of the effluent that we actually produce through our wastewater treatment works. That is so much that if we are going to be able to utilize it correctly, we can be able to make up that difference without even having to look at new projects. Like, if possible, we could have been able to look at the Lesotho Highlands Water Project phase 2, not necessarily coming on stream as we are envisaging right now. But we are looking at those new projects. We are looking at also the augmentation projects. Remember that in some of our infrastructure, we are looking at enhancing the capacity. Glen William is one in Western Cape. Hazelmere is another in KZN. We're looking at the Tsanin Dam, where we are raising the dam wall as well. All of those are looking at how we can be able to enhance the capacity of the infrastructure. Mm-hmm. But it is not just about the dams. It is also about the pipelines. Yeah. Remember, a couple of months ago, Rainwater had to shut down one of its pipelines because they were making the necessary provision for longevity along the pipeline, as well as installing a new pipeline in order to enhance capacity of their abstraction and therefore their treatment works. Those are some of the things that we are looking at. But groundwater, we are not utilizing that much. And according to our experts, we are using only about 50% of the capacity that we can be able to utilize of this groundwater. And most of that use is actually in Limpopo, in most of the rural areas. Yeah. But we are looking at how that groundwater can be utilized within the understanding as well that we cannot just go into it without really scientific direction. Indeed. Because that could also be a negative.
That is important, and I know that there's a major focus on that right now, the groundwater. But I want to talk about the issues of which you did bring up was the wastewater treatment plants and the current state that they're in right now. When we look at these wastewater plants, one has to worry. I think I speak on behalf of a lot of South Africans. I mean, when you read article after article, after study that looks into these wastewater plants, and we talk about the fact that over half of them in the country, I think we've got about 1,200 there or thereabout wastewater plants, and they say that over half of them are in an absolutely shocking condition, that they are in a critical condition, is what people are saying. What's being done to rectify these? I mean, because these are the plants that we need. This is what our drinking water is purified in.
Leanne, yes, we are looking at that issue, and it has been a bugbear for the department for quite a bit. One of the things that we are doing is we are enhancing the capacity of our enforcement unit in the department, because it is such an important unit that if we are not able to do the work, the regulatory work through that unit, going to see more and more of this dysfunctional wastewater treatment works. But secondly, we are looking at the fact that we need to work very closely and much better. And that is one of the outcomes of the Water and Sanitation Summit that was held in February this year, that we must work together with the Municipal Infrastructure Support Agency, which is an entity of the Department of Copter, which is responsible for support to the municipalities, by the way, in terms of infrastructure, so that together we can be able to enhance the capacity of municipalities to be able to look at those matters of dysfunctional wastewater treatment works. But we can only do that if we work together. Remember as well that part of what we are looking at as the outcome, or rather as the way forward, and Minister has spoken to this over time, is the fact that we have reintroduced the certification programs, the blue and the green drop certification programs. And later on this month, or even early in the new month, we will be bringing out the results of the past year of the green drop certification program that we have conducted over the last year. And that is a means of encouraging the municipalities to really work at some of the wastewater treatment plants that are not functioning optimally, to make sure that they do not continue to harm the environment. Mm-hmm. And therefore, that is what we are looking at. The issue of the enhancement of capacity, especially of the level of engineers within municipalities, is something that we have to work on together with COPTA together with municipalities and SABC, because we have realized that in most municipalities, the best capacity we have would be at the level of a technician, whereas we actually need engineers that can be able to look at the programs of operations and maintenance within that level of government, so that government in its entirety can be able to operate better.
So Sputnik, I just want to talk to you about the state of our water and the pollution, because this is something that is exceptionally worrying, is that the pollution levels are in some areas unacceptable. I mean, we could talk about industry, how mining is really polluting the waters, but there's also findings that it really does come, a lot of it, from municipal wastewater treatment work, sewage blockages, poor operations, poor maintenance. I mean, these are things that should be obvious and should be sorted out and worked with, but it doesn't seem that this is happening. Is this a lack of will to want to do it? Is it a lack of skills to do this? Is it a lack of funding? Where does the problem come in when this happens and we see this on a municipal level? And I'm certainly not letting corporates and industry get away with this, but my question to you is purely at this point in time, the amount of pollution that is caused by municipal waste.
It is true, and it is correct, Lillian, the point that you're raising. And that is why we have said that what we need to do is firstly enhance capacity at municipal level, but that is something we must do together, because we must together identify that capacity, and that is why part of the way forward out of the summit that was held right now is the inclusion of private sector in the work that we do as government. We have realized that there's a lot of capacity in the private sector, and the private sector
Looks like we're losing the feed there too, Sputnik. I'll just keep a look out the corner of my eye just to see if he does in fact come through with that signal. So, I mean, talking to the whole issue of water scarcity in South Africa and the state of our water in South Africa, we would love to hear from you. I mean, there are so many communities, in fact, that are running out. I mean, they literally are running out of water. Municipalities like the Eastern Cape, like Buffalo City Metro and Nelson Mandela Bay, those are just some of the areas that are experiencing serious challenges when it comes to water availability, as well as the quality that they're getting. And I'm sure that this is certainly not, they're not unique in this. It's something that we are seeing and getting reports from all over the place. South Africa is a water scarce country, but one has to worry when you look at the state of the infrastructure, and there's no upkeep, and this is the quality that's a problem. Day zero, there's always that talk about it, but sometimes it becomes a reality, and we have seen it in the country, unfortunately, before. I think we've got Sputnik back. I think the connection seems to be a little bit better. Sputnik, are you back with us? We lost you in the middle of your sentence there. I can see the connection was giving up on us. Sputnik? No, looks like we lost him once again. All right, big problems there. We're going to try and perhaps drop the line to him and call him back. We'll try and do that. But I think we may take a break and try and continue that conversation. So, I mean, Sakina, I know we also asked a question on social media right now. So we'll try and